The flight had barely begun when tension filled the cabin. A young black boy sat quietly by the window, his seatbelt fastened, eyes bright with excitement. It was his first time flying. But moments later, an entitled woman stormed down the aisle, her daughter in tow, demanding his seat. Her voice rose, her words dripping with arrogance. "My daughter deserves the window," she declared. The passengers froze, waiting to see what would happen next. But when the pilot overheard the confrontation, his response left everyone speechless. "Watch until the end to find out. Wait a second. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this." 12-year-old Marcus Hill had been dreaming of this day for months. His mother, a nurse who worked double shifts, had finally saved enough for them to visit his grandparents for the first time in years. Marcus loved planes. He'd studied every model, watched takeoff videos, and collected toy jets. Boarding that morning felt like stepping into a dream. The flight attendant smiled warmly as he found his seat near the window, his favorite spot. Across the aisle, Mrs. Whitmore, a wealthy suburban mother, was traveling with her teenage daughter, Chloe. She noticed Marcus sitting in the spot she wanted. Her expression shifted from annoyance to entitlement. To her, that seat wasn't meant for someone like him. The plane hadn't even left the gate when she stood up, determined to correct what she saw as a mistake, one that would soon expose the ugly truth about prejudice in the sky. Mrs. Whitmore approached Marcus with a forced smile, masking her irritation. "Sweetheart, I think you're in the wrong seat," she said sharply. Marcus looked at his ticket. It matched perfectly. His mother, sitting a few rows ahead, turned her head, sensing something was wrong. The flight attendant stepped over, ready to assist, but the woman's voice grew louder. "My daughter wants the window seat," she insisted, pointing. "Can you ask this boy to move?" The attendant replied politely that Marcus was in his assigned seat, but Mrs. Whitmore scoffed. "Well, can't you rearrange something? She'll be uncomfortable sitting in the middle." Her tone carried more than frustration. It carried entitlement rooted in something more profound. Passengers began to whisper. Some frowned. Others avoided eye contact, pretending not to notice the growing tension. Marcus sat frozen, gripping the armrest, feeling every eye on him. He didn't understand why this woman was so angry at him. He had followed every rule, done nothing wrong. The whispers turned into murmurs. Someone recorded them on their phone. Just as the argument reached its peak, the cockpit door opened. The pilot, Captain Reynolds, stepped out. Calm yet firm, his voice cut through the chaos. "What seems to be the problem here?" he asked. The mother straightened her posture, certain the authority figure would take her side. "This boy took my daughter's seat," she said smugly. But what happened next would silence the entire cabin. Captain Reynolds glanced at Marcus's boarding pass, then at Mrs. Whitmore's. His jaw tightened. "Ma'am," he said evenly, "this young man is exactly where he's supposed to be." He paused, his tone turning cold. "But perhaps your daughter would like to see the cockpit before we depart." Mrs. Whitmore's face lit up with victory until he added, "Because once she's done, you'll be seated in the back of the plane," the passengers gasped. "On my aircraft," the captain continued, "we treat everyone with respect, no exceptions." He looked directly at Marcus. "You stay right where you are, son." The cabin broke into quiet applause as Mrs. Whitmore's pride crumbled. For the first time, her words failed her. She sank into her seat, humiliated, while Marcus looked out the window, his eyes wide, not in fear, but in awe. As the plane soared through the clouds, Marcus felt something shift inside him. For the first time, someone in authority had stood up for him, without hesitation, without judgment. His mother turned around, smiling with pride and relief. The passengers who had once looked away now met his eyes with quiet respect. When the flight landed, Captain Reynolds stopped Marcus before he left. "You did nothing wrong today," he said softly. "Never forget that your place in this world is earned by who you are, not by what others see." Mrs. Whitmore avoided eye contact as she walked past, her head low. That flight became more than a journey. It became a lesson in humanity. Because sometimes, the loudest statement against racism isn't shouted. It's spoken with quiet, fearless truth. Where are you watching from? What city? What country? Take care.